Friends, we are going to discuss about a new course, that is process integration. As a part of process integration, we'll be discussing about how to optimize the use of energy, how to optimize the use of mass, and in fact, as a part of process integration, one can also discuss how to optimize the usage of equipments. So, in general, process integration talks mainly about heat exchanger and heat exchanger networking, and we'll be concentrating on that through the use of pinch technology. So our major focus will be on the understanding of pinch technology. So we'll be discussing about basics of pinch technology, how the thermodynamics plays its role in the pinch technology, and some key concepts in pinch technology in today's session. Before we move on to pinch technology or heat exchanger networking, let us discuss about the onion diagram of process synthesis. The onion diagram, as the name suggests, is similar to the layers of the onion. And one by one, if we look at the layers, the innermost layer is the reactor itself. In any chemical industry, reactor is something which dictates the upstream and downstream process. And hence, as a part of process synthesis, the first goal of any engineer has to be to freeze the design of a reactor. When I say freeze the design of reactor, what I mean is one has to decide the temperature, the pressure, the type of reactor. Type, when I say, it can be CSTR or PFR, or it can also be the isothermal or adiabatic, or whatever type of reactor you want. So freeze the catalyst, freeze the composition of feed, everything you have to decide before you move on to the other layer. The reason being, the reactor conditions once decided will tell you what feed you have to supply, and the reactor conditions will dictate what will be the output, and the output which comes from the reactor will be utilized to design separation and recycle. So your separation scheme naturally depends on the composition of the effluent of the reactors. So once you get that and you decide separation and recycle scheme, now you have a fair idea of your process flow sheet. Now every piece of equipment requires changes in temperature, like reactor, like feed, your feed is available to you at a room temperature. The reactor temperature might be above that, it might be 50 degree, might be 70 degree, might be 100 degree. So you have to heat that. The reactor effluent which comes out, depending upon the type of reaction, it may be having higher temperature or lower temperature than the regular temperature if the reaction is not isothermal. So you need to cool that if it is a higher temperature. So when you want to cool that, again you need a utility. So to heat the feed, you need a utility. To cool the effluent of the reactor, you need a utility. Then it goes to maybe separating column, where in separating column you require energy at exchangers like condenser and reboiler. So once you have devised your entire flow sheet, you can place proper heat exchangers, and then doing some analysis which we are going to study in this particular course, that is by doing pinch analysis, we can exchange the energy between process to process streams and minimize the requirement of utility. So once you have got this, you can devise the heat exchanger network. Heat exchanger network is nothing but the network of heat exchangers which will exchange the energy from one process stream to other process stream. But naturally there will be an imbalance of heat load. So it's not that all the energy which is required by some streams can be obtained from other streams. So there is always a need of additional utilities, either hot or cold utilities. So we'll have to supply utility, and for that we'll have to design the utility plants, whether you have to generate the steam or cooling water or cooling tower, boilers, whatever. So they all form a part of utility. Once you have fair idea of what are your utilities, there is an additional layer, and that is nothing but the layer of wastewater treatment. So we design reactor first, then separation cycle, then heat exchanger, then utilities, and then wastewater. Right, so this is nothing but our process synthesis onion diagram. Now let us try to understand basics of the pinch technology. Now if you look at this particular flow sheet, you have a cooling water requirement here, a steam requirement here, steam requirement here, and thereby total hot utility requirement is 1722 and cold utility is 654. Right? A stream which is coming into the reactor needs to be, it goes here, needs to be heated and cooled, and likewise. Now, if somehow this cooling water requirement can be exchanged with the steam which is required, because this stream needs to be cooled and this stream needs to be heated. So can I exchange the energy between this? Right? So if I can do that, this is something which will happen, wherein my cooling utility requirement goes down to 0 and 654 units of energy is being exchanged with the exchanger which is there, which requires the energy. So 1652 minus 654 and plus 70, making it 1068. So your total utility requirement reduces to 1068 hot utility. Now this is only possible if proper temperature ranges are maintained. So it's not only the heat content but also the temperature which is playing a huge role into this. What I mean to say by that is that if there are two streams, one is this, another is this is getting, say for example, going from 30 to 80, so this needs the energy, and let's say this goes from 100 to 50. So this is going to liberate the energy. So naturally this can give away the heat to this. But imagine a scenario that I have another stream, say for example here, which runs from 60 to say 20. So this is getting cooled and this is getting heated. Can I exchange energy between these two? No, this is not possible. Reason being, this temperature is much lower compared to this. So even though this has a heat which is to be supplied to something, because it needs to be cooled from 60 to 20, and this needs heat from some stream because it needs to get heated from 30 to 80, the exchange is not possible here. So it's not only about the amount of heat, it is also about the temperature scales which you have to keep in mind. Is it making sense to everyone, I suppose? Yeah. So let's talk about energy targets and thermodynamic targets. The first key concept of pinch analysis is setting energy targets. That is how much amount of energy I need to consume for my utility requirement. Now, so the very important aspect here is the utility. Energy can be used in so many forms, right, in an industry. So this energy target is different from your industrial energy target. So target for energy consumption is typically 10% reduction per year. Now this energy target consumption or consumption reduction in energy is different from the energy target which we are getting from pinch analysis. Like targets by pinch analysis are different. They are absolutely based on thermodynamics. This is something which we have discussed in the previous example. H1 and H2 makes out 70 and 1652 kilowatt, making it 1722 kilowatt, and cooling utility is 654 kilowatt. If I can exchange 654 kilowatt between them, I am left with 106. So this is your energy target based on thermodynamics. So you know exactly what you can save, right? Okay. This is the real life example because of which the process integration took place. ISI was a big company in refinery, but it faced a challenge on the crude distillation unit of an oil refinery, and they needed expansion for 20%, right? But this gave a corresponding increase in the energy demand. So an extracting furnace seemed to be the only solution to provide this additional 20%. But not only was this very costly, there was no room for it into the plant. So naturally, when the 20% expansion is there, naturally the equipment within the company are also expanding. They also need space, and you are going to add an additional furnace which also comes up with so many other auxiliaries. So there was an issue, and this was to be handed over to the design team. So what to do? So the first option they got is that if they would have to be, they can have placed the furnace on the other side of the company, but then there was a big busy road coming in between. So there was a pipeline connecting two separate sections of the company, but that pipeline was running over the main road, and this is a dangerous thing. because it can create so many problems as far as operation is concerned. Not only that, it can lead to a major accident. So then the question was handed over to process integration team, and what they did is they came up with an idea of exchanging process to process energy, and they come up with a fantastic outcome at the end, that they need much lesser energy if they can exchange energy between process to process. Even after expansion, the target were lower than the current energy used. This is something which is the power of your process integration. Like, they can accommodate the 20% expansion of the plant, and then also they could achieve the energy saving. So if you properly apply process integration techniques, pinch analysis, you can save energy like anything. So the value of the pinch bite approach is shown by the fact that a plausible common sense heat recovery system falls more than 10% short of the feasible. So if you see, there are so many places where we make some common sense results. So some feed is going in which is to be heated, and the effluent is going out which is to be cooled. We exchange energy between that feed and that effluent. That is a common sense approach. Now don't target smaller unit. Target the entire process. Then you will be able to save energy much more than this kind of common sense approaches. Common sense approaches, yes, they do save energy, but that will be in parts. Right? So how can we do this? So there are so many ways to do this. Imagine a large complex process plant. Over the years, new ideas are throughout for ways to reduce energy. So if you imagine the usage of energy earlier, like if we talk of a domestic energy usage in home, we used to have completely energy expensive devices. Our tube lights, our bulbs, they were all energy expensive. Now with time, we are able to come up with energy efficient devices. In the same way, in your plant also, you can replace all the energy intensive unit operations or maybe auxiliaries with energy efficient equipment. But all this along with a pinch technology will save your money like anything. So this is what I'm trying to say. So this is your regularized energy saving due to new design, right? But if you change the flow sheet itself by incorporating process integration, you have a further scope of increasing the energy saving or decreasing the energy consumption, right? So this is your last process, existing process, and new design. So if you don't incorporate process integration, you will be naturally saving energy and you will be feeling happy. But if you incorporate process integration, it can further go down, and for every step that is possible. So naturally your conventional saving of energy by changing the equipment is there, but if you apply process integration, you will be in for a better energy saving. So I think we'll stop there and we'll discuss about further aspects when we meet next time. That is, we'll be discussing about the role of thermodynamics.